What's good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. Hopefully you're having a lucky Friday the 13th. Feeling good today. Sean Hannity went after Kathy Barnette. So I want to go over kind of my thoughts on what's happening here. If you didn't get a chance to catch it, here we go.
Now tonight there is a tight three-way battle in the GOP primary for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, that Republican Senate seat. That's a must-hold seat. Also Wall Street hedge fund CEO Dave McCormick. But according to a new Fox News poll, Kathy Barnette is now seeing a rise with Dr. Oz in the lead in this race by 2 points. Two other recent polls have had Dr. Oz in the lead by 2 to 3 points. Now let me be very clear. Now, the surging candidacy of Kathy Barnette, I've interviewed Kathy. I
went back and I just uploaded a video that I had done a couple days ago. So it takes me a while to fall in love, and I don't fall in love with many of these candidates. So I don't know her fully, and I'm not going to fully endorse her. But I do know, I'm going to talk about later, Dr. Oz ain't the one. So I fully understand that. Even though I don't live in Pennsylvania, this stuff is becoming nationwide. Man, this push is not just a Pennsylvania thing. Everybody cares about who's in the Senate. They didn't care about Kathy because they didn't pay attention. I went back and watched the first debate, and I was kind of worried maybe some people might be bored about the clips, but I watched the first debate, and she was the star. Dr. Oz wasn't there. Did he even declare by then? I don't even remember. But Barnette was the clear, overwhelming, without a question. If you objectively watch that first debate in Pennsylvania, it looked like it was on a high school stage. It was so blurry or whatever. But everyone was waiting for what she was going to say. She controlled it. They weren't paying attention. That's why they weren't ready to vet her. So the case that Sean Hannity is saying, and Sean Hannity is that is not somebody I respect. I've talked about him a couple times. I did a video where he had Sean Penn on, and I thought it was absolutely disgusting. Sean Hannity is not someone this is not Glenn Beck. So keep in mind the source.
I like Kathy.
So I edited that just because I don't want to say. I mean, I do the same thing at times when I look away and stuff like that. It was a tell. You don't like Kathy. Just be real about it. Don't even just self-edit. Don't even say it.
Candidacy of Kathy Barnette. I've interviewed Kathy. I like Kathy. She was very nice when I interviewed her. But the problem is we're now looking at what is a must-hold Republican Senate seat if the Republicans want to ever take the majority in the U.S. Senate.
So he's trying to say, I'm coming from a righteous position. He's almost trying to say, I know all you plebs are rallying around this candidate, but the candidate you're rallying around doesn't have a chance to win. And to Sean, what I say is, I don't care. That's not the point. If the choice is between Mitch McConnell and somebody else who is more populist, it's somebody else. I don't care if it's David versus Goliath. And obviously that's not the case when you look at the polling, if you believe the polling. It's more accurate typically at the state level than general election polling is terrible, in my opinion, especially post-Trump. General election polling is just awful. It doesn't matter, Sean. It doesn't matter. Do you care about people or not? It doesn't matter if the person that the people want can't win. I don't care. It doesn't matter if you send another, whatever rhino you want to call in there. And I don't associate with the Republican or Democrat, but you know what I mean, some corporatist. If you send some corporatist in there, which is what Oz is, in fact, he's a Democrat corporatist. He's a Hollywood guy. Why do I care if I do not care if Oz gets to the Senate at all. So I don't know why you think this even is relevant, Sean.
She, up to this point in this race, has never been vetted because up until this week, her polling, frankly, didn't really warrant it. And this is very important. Don't forget, back in 2020, she was in a congressional race in Pennsylvania's 4th Congressional District. She lost that race, that general election race, by a whopping 20 points. Also today, when the Washington Examiner reached out to her campaign, she declined to respond to very simple, straightforward questions about her candidacy.
I will agree that yes, she has made some mistakes. Her organization is not as buttoned up and tight. This is the Senate. This is not for like head of the PTA. This is the Senate. Like this is the boss move. There's only 100 of them in the country. So you've got to be more buttoned up. You've got to be able to respond. She went on the War Room. I might do a separate video on that. This one, I'm just kind of looking at the flack she's getting right now. That is legit criticism that to me that she's not prepared to have, she's not staffed well enough.
These were questions like, where was she an adjunct professor and when was she an adjunct professor? And when did she move from Virginia to Pennsylvania? And that's not all. We did a lot of vetting ourselves. Like,
okay, so yeah, I understand. To me, it's a staffing problem. Are those other questions, like, where are you going with that, Sean? Like, is that the end-all, be-all? Like, when are you going to get to the part about my freedom? When are you going to get to the part about what we need to do in this country right now?
While Kathy claims to be a MAGA conservative, she has a very troubling history of attacking Donald J. Trump, the 45th president. During the 2016 primary season, she tweeted, there's a lot of tweets, quote, "Did you see the last presidential debate? Trump was horrid." Followed up that with, "Trump is just as liberal as Democratic leaders."
There's no lie there, Sean. Do you remember back then? That was 2015. What about J.D. Vance? Have you seen what he said? They were talking about how big their hand size was, Sean. A lot of people were like, what's going on? We didn't really understand the context. That a lot of people didn't. I didn't. That in order to have a populist candidate, this route that may not be the only route, but the route was a shock to the system. Jeb Bush was supposed to be the guy. Remember that? You weren't going to beat Jeb Bush by being all buttoned up and, oh, hey, everybody. That's why Trump came in like, I'm going to be myself. We're tired of this political correctness. My hand size is bigger than yours, bruh. What do you want to do? And everybody else kind of withered away. That's the legend of Trump. You're supposed to be a Trump supporter. You don't even understand what happened. If she had said that yesterday, I would be like, yeah, help me understand. That was 2015. And we were still trying to understand what the hell was going on. Trump was an apprentice star, a lifelong Democrat, a corporate lifelong New York Democrat at that. Only thing worse than that is a Chicago Democrat. So if you want to bring up the tweets, fine. But Sean, why? There's no context. It's 2015. Trump was unhinged. He was. Have you ever seen that? What was it called? It was that movie Drunken Master, the karate movie. I forgot what's his name. Is it Jackie Chan? I forgot his name. Yes, I think it's Jackie Chan. I love that movie because he's drunk in the movie, and then they think he's like some scrub, and they come over to try to attack him, and he's like, he's drunk and he's still fighting and beating them up. That's what Trump was in 2015. He was a drunk that was beating up the establishment. Ted Cruz, one of the smartest dudes, and just annihilated him. Not really on substance. Who can beat Ted Cruz on like an intellectual debate? Not many people in this world. So Trump took it to the streets, basically. He's like, this is my party now. Come here. So if you're watching this, I was like, we talking about hand size now? What's happening? I was like, what is going on? They literally were on the stage like Trump was like, my hand is bigger than yours. You know what that means. I have the cojones, you don't. So who cares about that tweet? Just disingenuous.
As we currently have in office, morality matters and Trump does not rank high in it. She also wrote, Trump is good for beers and barbecue, not as a president.
That was a fair, September 2015? That's a fair take in September 2015. That's an absolutely fair take. Where's the lies? I'm not anti-Trump. I'm just saying let's be real about where it was in 2015 and where we need now. It might not be Trump now, but back then, we didn't really know what was going on. Other than Steve Bannon And a few others, I don't think many people actually, believe it or not, Morning Joe, because they're lifelong, I think lifelong New Yorkers, Mika and Joe, they were telling people this tactic is going to work. They were telling people back in 2015. I watched Morning Joe every single day. They knew what was happening. Not many other people, and they got flack for that too. Not many other people did.
Claim that Trump's moral character is questionable. And by the way, she even tweeted this about me. And there's me and says, oh, Glenn Beck, why does Hannity support unprincipled Donald Trump? And it gets worse. More resurfaced tweets are even more disturbing. One from her Twitter account in 2016 reads, quote, don't we get it? Obama is a Muslim. And there are lots of these tweets. From another 2013, she says, please pray for my babies and me. We're about to board the plane to California, and there's a homosexual female.
So what do you want? So what's the thing about these tweets? Sean, you don't even know what's happening in our country right now. Nobody gives a damn about these tweets. We don't even know what the rest of this one is. So why even, that is so unethical to me to bring that up and just say, hey, it was linked to something else. I don't want to assume it was bad. I don't know. It's fair to ask her what it was. And she said she didn't remember the context. That's why I'm not going to vote for her. Like, if you had a full-fledged negative statement, then maybe we could talk about it.
And linking out to a Facebook post. Moments ago, one of our producers spoke to Kathy Barnette. She claims she cannot recall the context of the tweet about Obama or any of the other.
Okay, that's the gist of it. So he was going after her, and then later on he has Oz on. I'm not even going to play Oz. It's just, I can't even watch this dude. Man, these people are so fake. That's the route. You're going to have to attach yourself. Now, I think Trump and Oz have been friends for a while. And what you're seeing is there's this awkward thing where Trump was that Democrat, Schumer friend, Clinton friend, all that stuff. And he would have had to make a choice here to distance himself. Even Joe and Mika were friends with Trump somewhat, and they fell out. So what would have had to happen is Trump would have had to have fallen out with Dr. Oz, and he chose not to. And no, I don't care. Dr. Oz ain't my friend, so I don't have those same problems, Trump. And I criticized Nina Turner when she said, well, the squad did not, this is a populist left thing. The squad is supposed to be populist left. Nina Turner was running in my old hometown district in Ohio. I think it's 11 in Ohio. And the squad didn't endorse her. And then somebody asked her about it. And she was like, I don't want to really say much because they're my friends. You ain't built for this then. I would have told them whatever statement, behind the scenes, I would have texted them or whatever and been like, just as a heads up, I know you all had to do what you have to do. When I do this interview, you're about to see what I have to do. And flamethrower. That's the moment I knew Nina wasn't ready for office. And she said she's going to run for president. Just stop that. She's trying to be, just stop. My point is, Trump, I don't care if he's your boy or not. You have blown bridges with a lot of friends. Why not blow another bridge with him? What the hell I care about a Dr. Oz for? They went on, let me know if this audio works. I've never done straight from Rumble because obviously they kicked the War Room off of YouTube. But Steve Bannon, this is one of the best shows in the country. You got Tim Pool, Nick Fuentes, in my opinion, as long as he stays away from the stupid drama stuff. Nick Fuentes, and then Steve Bannon, some of my favorite shows. Let me know if this audio works.
During the Ohio situation, I want to bring in Jack Posobiec. Jack, you've been all over this nonstop, and I want to get to that's why I asked Ambassador Grinnell to come on later. He's going to carve some time out for us. Is last night there was a pretty heavy-handed Sean Hannity segment with Dr. Oz that I think actually hurt the argument they were trying to make. They were trying to say Kathy is unvetted, and the problem is that she's unvetted, and you don't know about her, and the other stuff. But it was the same tactic that Fox News and Megyn Kelly used. In the first debate in 2015. And the only person that really came to Trump's defense was Breitbart and Stephen K. Bannon, of which I went after Megyn Kelly, and she's on a PBS. They did a whole PBS frontline news thing on this about that whole situation. We went after her relentlessly, and Fox News about that, about going into Trump's Twitter feed, to go into his Facebook account, from 10 and 12 years ago and pick out these kind of random things, attack them.
I'm going to stop there. That's hopefully that audio is playing just to get confirmation if there's not too many people in the live. But Ghost Leader, perfect on point comment here. He said, I liked Trump more in 2016 because we didn't know what he was going to do in office. It felt like he was going to go in there and start taking a wrecking ball to the establishment. And he means that figuratively, I think. I'm taking it figuratively. Exactly. And we still want that now. Now, I think we might want a more refined one, but we still want that wrecking ball. So when you bring up all this stuff, Steve, that's what Steve Bannon is saying. You bring up all this stuff, but it might actually help her. Dr. Oz is this buttoned up Oprah dude. His show has been, establishment the whole time. I've never hated Dr. Oz. My family and my parents watched him a lot. Entertaining show. Nothing against his entertainment side, but that doesn't mean I'm going to support him for Senate. His show has been an establishment, corporate Democrat show his whole life. And he is not ruled by the people now. So you could argue Trump was too, but the things aren't the same. He's not Trump.
That's exactly what they did last night. And I think it actually helped Kathy Barnette. So give us your assessment. We just had Dave McCormick on. You saw the ad. You're no Club for Growth guy. Give us your assessment right now of where are we in this race, and particularly the issue that has now come up, that Kathy Barnette is terrific. She's great. She's a firebrand. She's obviously pure MAGA, but she's unvetted. Jack Posobiec.
Yeah, Steve, and it's been interesting sitting at myself looking at this because you see a lot of these.
To give context before Jack is one of the best on this. Is Club for Growth is a conservative. They label themselves as a conservative organization, and basically they're anti-Trump. So Kathy, I don't know. I have to look into. It seems like she's been endorsed by them. I don't know if she's taking money from them. It looks like she's a part of them. Let me show this real quick, and then I'll have to end here in a little bit. But if I'm Kathy, so if you go to Club for Growth, she's endorsed. DeSantis is as well. It's like they're going to war against Trump, is what's happening. So Steve Bannon is like, what's happening with the Club for Growth stuff? They've always been against Bannon and Trump. So it is a civil war. This is basically a political civil war. I've said a lot of times there's not one going on. This one I think is within the Republican Party. So that's where Steve Bannon is getting this. That's where he's kind of like, what's happening? What's going on? Jack, tell me what's happening. I don't think there was a good answer for what's going on with her and Club for Growth, other than Club for Growth wanted to get back at Trump because they forgot who they backed, but J.D. Vance was a Trump guy in Ohio. They backed their own guy, and it's probably on the website. I forgot who it was, but they lost to Trump there, basically. So there's all this, and Peter Thiel, and it's all this money, and there's a lot of battling going on behind the scenes.
A lot of these pundits weighing in, people from all over the country. I'm from Pennsylvania, right? Born and raised. That's my backyard. I was the Temple University College Republican chairman out of North Philadelphia. I was the statewide Pennsylvania College Republican executive director. I go to Wawa every chance I get. I eat cheesesteaks every chance.
Hang on, hold it. And people should understand.
I love War Room because when you do virtual interviews, it's hard to know when someone's going to try to butt in. Steve Bannon's always like, hold on, stop. He always does because you kind of have to.
Dave just talked about the huge new ad for Kathy Barnette that's now carpet bombed all over the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania media.
I wanted to reach out to you because there were some questions made about my record, particularly her military record. She said, I know you're a Navy guy and you know how to read these records. I want to send this to you because I don't trust these other reporters that haven't been in the military. So I did speak to her on the phone yesterday. It's the only time I've ever spoke to her. And she didn't say, hey, Jack, I want your endorsement. And I looked at her website. I didn't even know this. She has been endorsed by General Flynn. She's been endorsed by Mastriano. Number of other endorsements, Catholic Vote, Susan B. Anthony, with the strongest pro-life organization in the country, one of the strongest next to Live Action and the great Lila Rose. And so my whole, platform here is not necessarily to support one candidate or another, I definitely opposed Dr. Oz for a lot of morally unacceptable reasons, and I did that prior to any further endorsements that were made of him. I came on here in War Room day.
So Jack Posobiec has been from day one on Oz, and he's trying to say, "Hey, I haven't been supporting Kathy or anything. I've been more pointing out the problems with Oz." Let me end with a couple things from Twitter. I do have a hard out in a couple minutes. So, Greg Kelly had a meltdown that I think was worse than it was worse than a lot of other meltdowns that I've seen. Julie Kelly, he had a meltdown that Jenna Ellis, not Julie Kelly, Jenna Ellis had a meltdown that was kind of similar. It was really bad. Julie Kelly's great. I apologize for that misspeak there. She does not have meltdowns. But let me go to the what I'm talking about. Greg Kelly. He purports himself to be MAGA or whatever. I follow him. I don't even know who he is really. I guess he was a newscaster or something. I don't even know. He just has interesting tweets, but he's imploding. So this is what Greg Kelly tweeted. The indignant Kathy Barnette, she goes to Washington's Mount Vernon home to complain about the white people and their admiration of Washington, confuses George Bush for George Washington, and blows off George Washington's mansion to focus on the slave house behind her. Very, very odd. And I'm going to play this 30-second clip, and you tell me if you see anything that's odd.
And were treated in the most inhumane way. But as the white people were standing behind me talking about the high and mightiness of how we revere President Washington, I would think it to myself, we truly have to have a balanced view of history. We have to balance history off. We cannot cut off our nose despite our face. This is my country, and we cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater, my grandmother used to say. And were treated
That's what she said.
In the most inhumane way. But as the
That was the problem that you had? You had to mention that she mistakenly said Bush instead of Washington when she had George on the mind? What kind of stuff is this, Greg Kelly? All she said is we have to have balance. She was talking about how this country is hers, and she said we have to have balance. We got George Washington's mansion, and we had a slave house there. I have no problem with that. So now I'm looking at you, Greg Kelly, not Kathy. I had zero problems with that. So Greg Kelly kept on going, and I said that the fact that he hasn't deleted this and apologized says a lot. It's still up today, right now. He says, smoking gun proof that crazy Kathy is a freaking nutjob BLM cop hater. Bye-bye, Kathy, you're total fraud. Was this sarcasm? Like, it wouldn't even make sense as sarcasm. Like, we're not laughing right now. I predict he's going to have to say somebody hacked his account. This is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. Why he's saying that is, you might see, hopefully you can see on the video if you're watching, it says hashtag BLM, hashtag defund the police. From 2020, right after the Floyd stuff popped off. So I'm like, okay, what was she talking about? It might be a concern. What was she talking about? The hashtag is a quote tweet from another video of hers. Looks like a Facebook video. And this is what she was talking about. Let me see if I can get volume on here. Acting funny. This is what she was talking about. No volume?
The story of a 1-year-old child who was shot in the... Hello, everyone. How are you? I know I'm so disturbed right now. I am watching the story of a 1-year-old child who was shot in the stomach in New York while with his mother, with his family at a park, and he died. And I'm listening to the father, I'm listening to the grandmother, and my heart is just broken. Last week we saw, a young child die in Chicago. This is craziness, what we're watching right now. This is craziness that is taking over our nation. We have these thugs, we have these so-called activists, we have these spineless leaders that are playing with people's lives. They are destroying our nation. I am so devastated. I am, this has to stop. This is not right. No one lives matter when you can't take your child to a family picnic. How does that little black boy's life matter? The father said no one has reached out to him. No one is talking to him. He can't get any information from anyone. How is this improving my black life right now? Defunding the police is stupid, people. Abolishing the police is stupid, people. Black people, do not fall for the okie doke. Do not fall for these white liberals who are coming into our communities and telling us we need to remove law enforcement. Because let me tell you, they have the money.
So you see the gist of it there. That's the tweet that she quote tweeted it because she wanted it to kick in the algorithm when people search for these terms. She wasn't supporting them. That takes 2 seconds to see. And this nut job is saying that she was a BLM cop hater? That's what Greg Kelly said. There's going to be a lot. I never really followed him much. I don't even know what he does, but it'll be very hard for him to regain my trust. You can make a mistake. That happens. I make mistakes all the time. If I did that accidentally, I've done it before on Twitter. I'm like, okay, I was working a little too fast. A lot of times I don't delete it so you can see I made the mistake and then I apologize for it. It's still up there with no context. He's still ranting in all caps. That's it. That's what I got. I'm a little past my heart out. But my takeaway is that's why good people, I'm not saying that Kathy's good. I don't know her. I would support her if out of the choices that I've seen in Pennsylvania. Yes, I would vote for her and see what she does in there. But that's why good people don't run for office. This ton of trash. You got the establishment people or people with different interests just trying to take her down. So the fight for people to win is not just against the establishment. It's against Trump. I don't consider Trump establishment. He's just, literally just a mascot. The fight is to guide him in the right position. Let me know what you think. Take care.